So all along when we thought maybe Blake wanted the rights, I mean, she might end up being the director, right? But in all utter reality, maybe Colleen Hoover did not want to give up her rights to the second film.
Colleen Hoover plotted for months to push Justin Baldoni out and snatch back the rights to her book. And as you're about to see, she was straight up unhinged about it. It didn't matter if Baldoni's entire reputation got dragged through the mud, she was locked in on taking him down by any means necessary. And with Blake Lively by her side, she pulled off one of the shadiest moves Hollywood has ever seen. Backing Blake's claims with zero proof and stealing the project right from under him. And now that the heat is on, she's suddenly retiring? Diabolical! From dodging accountability over her son's alleged scandal to plotting behind Justin's back, Colleen's moves have been nothing short of shocking. But is this really the end for her, or is she just trying to escape the fallout and public humiliation? Buckle up, Luvs, we're about to shame the shameless. To give y'all some context real quick, back in 2019, before It Ends With Us was the massive sensation it is today, Justin Baldoni saw something special in the book and reached out to Colleen personally. And they would later exchange emails on emails of him gushing over the story, calling it romantic, beautiful, and tragic. Like, Justin was fully invested in this book long before it became TikTok hype. And Colleen was clearly living for it. She responded ASAP immediately after realizing Justin had pure intentions for the book. Like, she was so into the idea of Justin adapting her work that she even suggested he play Ryle, the main male lead. Interestingly enough, fast forward to the casting process, and Colleen was also the one who recommended that Blake be hired because she was apparently a fan, and Justin did just that. So Blake wasn't the only one who arm twisted Justin's hands until he gave in. He had already had a similar experience with Colleen. Justin Baldoni might be nice and all, but he really has to stop people pleasing. I digress. The point is that everything was fine between Colleen Hoover and Justin Baldoni until Kelsey and her dragons came into the picture. And in what we can say was a betrayal to Justin, Colleen suddenly switched up on him. She started backing Blake Lively, who, remember, hadn't even read the book before taking the role, literally. Blake wasn't even aware of Colleen's existence. This is the person she defended even without sufficient evidence, and now that the backlash is here, she is deleting her socials and acting like she wasn't a part of the mess. Guys, Colleen was upstairs with the rest of the cast when Justin and his family were locked in the basement on that fateful day. The betrayal is real. Fans have been dragging Colleen for throwing Justin under the bus like that, all because a bigger name walked into the room. And now that things blew up, she didn't even have the decency to address it, but rather delete Instagram. Oh, the plot thickens, y'all. Turns out Blake wasn't the first one to act tone deaf when she promoted her hairline and drinks. Would you believe that the actual author, who is on record saying this book was based on a true story, her parents' marriage, tried to drop an It Ends With Us coloring book? Like a book about abuse, trauma, and serious real-life issues, and she thought it needed a coloring book? Fans lost it, and she had to pull it back real quick. Many suspected that she was frustrated that she sold the book before it took off and didn't make as much money as she could have, and of course, Justin wasn't gonna give her the rights back. Now that I think about it, that might have been where she started to resent Justin now that he was making more money than her. However, unlike Blake Lively, Colleen actually apologized and pulled down the coloring book when she was called out. But that's not even the worst part of her controversy streak, you guys. Rumors have been swirling about Colleen's son allegedly SAing a 16-year-old after they met on Snapchat, despite knowing her age and that she was still in school. She says she reached out to Colleen. Instead of handling it like a responsible adult, Colleen blocked the kid. A whole grown woman who writes about abuse and trauma just ignored and silenced a victim instead of addressing the situation, just because it was her son involved. Make it make sense. Of course, when contacted, she defended her son, saying the things being said were inaccurate and that the 16-year-old had twisted the story. We discussed what happened. I apologized to her, thanked her for bringing this to my attention, and I offered to send her our home address and lawyer info should she want it. I held my son accountable for sending a message to her that was inappropriate. Oh, by the fan, word is that this case is actually the main reason she deleted her IG in the first first place because this story had started resurfacing when she defended Blake without any evidence. This woman has built an entire career off of writing about abuse survivors, yet when it's actually time to stand up for the right thing, she's nowhere to be found. Whether it's the Justin drama, the Blake Lively situation, or the accusations involving her son, Colleen Hoover is looking real funny in the light. The internet is rightfully on her neck, as this is no longer just a book adaptation anymore. It's about someone who claims to be an advocate for survivors but repeatedly makes choices that prove otherwise. And the way she dipped off social media the moment things got real has painted her as someone with zero accountability and zero problem-solving skills. We're just getting started, y'all. It Ends With Us has a chain of issues right from the author. More receipts are coming, and it's looking worse by the second. Let's talk about how Blake and Colleen allegedly ganged up to take the rights of the book away from Justin Baldoni. It all started when people were rather surprised when, literally out of nowhere, Colleen hopped on social media showering Blake with praise after she blasted Justin for allegedly SAing her on set. What now seems to be pure lies, saying she called Blake honest, kind, supportive, and patient, and then thanked her for being a nice human. What? Now, let's pause for a second. This is the same Blake Lively who is being accused of steamrolling the entire film production just so she could take control. The same Blake who, according to leaked info, was way more concerned with the aesthetics of the movie than actually staying true to the story. The same Blake who allegedly only got involved because she wanted to flex her Hollywood power. The one that used her two dragons to get a whole scene changed and was totally chaotic on set. This is Colleen's version of a nice human. So for Colleen to switch up and throw all her support behind Blake, yeah, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. They are saying that if Blake's whole narrative about Justin was the truth, more people would have spoken up by now, like cast members, crew, anybody, saying Justin was a nightmare to work with, but not at all. It's Blake that has a truckload of accusations stemming literally decades ago. The point is, Blake has clearly been leading this charge, and Colleen is following right behind her. Oh my goodness, there have been theories. Some think Colleen just wanted to stay in Hollywood's good graces. Others think that Colleen was just frustrated that Justin wasn't making her as much money as she could have with someone like Blake running the show. Either way, it's looking like Colleen made a bad bet. Now she knows she brought this backlash on herself. You don't just blindly side with the rich and famous and expect people not to notice. The internet isn't as easy to manipulate as it used to be. We've seen what happened with Jennifer Lopez, with other celebs who thought they could just do whatever they wanted and get away with it. No, people are waking up, and Colleen has just had to learn the hard way. There's also other footage that has people believing that Colleen was in and wanted to double-cross Baldoni. In a CNN interview with Blake, when asked if she'd do a sequel, Blake said she would, as long as Colleen had the rights. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time we checked, Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios already owned those rights? So how is Colleen acting like that was even a possibility? What did she and Blake know that the rest of the world didn't?
What? Sorry, what? You can have a what?
A sequence, like it starts with this.
Oh.
I mean, if Colleen has her rights, I'll go anywhere. I'll follow this woman anywhere.
Y'all heard her.
Colleen just sat there looking real comfortable when Blake made such a diabolical and suggestive statement, basically hinting that Colleen could get her movie rights back from Justin. It's all just too convenient, and people believe they must have discussed this. Remember, by this time, they had tried all tactics in the book to make Justin sell the movie to Blake, but he refused. Luvs, when you start piecing everything together, the picture ain't looking too good for Miss Hoover. And right after that little PR moment, Colleen quietly launched her own production company, Heart Bones Entertainment. Oh yeah, it's all in the receipts. In October, Variety casually drops a little bomb in the article about another Colleen Hoover movie deal. She and her partner had started a whole production company to produce future adaptations. Now, why would she do that if she didn't think she was getting control back? And let's not forget, in the same month, she switched her legal representation to a big name law firm that handles A-listers like Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt. That's not just a random business move, that's a strategy. They were preparing for a major power play, a move to have Justin stripped of the rights of the book, which would then conveniently fall on their new company. Let's connect the dots. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have money. They have influence. If they wanted in on Colleen's business, who is to say they didn't help push for a situation where Baldoni was forced out? If Colleen and Blake were already talking about getting her rights back in August, but Justin still legally owned them, then they were planning something behind the scenes. Y'all, this is where it gets straight up sinister. Now we're about to break down exactly why Blake used the claim against Justin, and let me tell you, it wasn't random. This was a calculated move, and the receipts are right here. So when Justin bought the rights to Colleen Hoover's book, It Ends With Us, there was a morality clause written into the contract. Now, if you don't know, morality clauses are super common in deals like this. It's the same type of thing that got Diddy's multiple keys to the city revoked the second that he got hit with those allegations. Basically, if you get caught up in anything shady, especially something as serious as SA, your deal is done. And guess what? This morality clause specifically stated that if Justin was ever accused of SA, the rights to the book would be revoked, meaning the rights would go back to Colleen. And who would Colleen be handing them over to? Blake. Do you now see why Blake specifically sued Justin for that specific clause, and why they were confident that Blake would work on a sequel if Colleen had the rights? They hit him with the one thing that could legally force his removal, an accusation that triggered the morality clause. And once that domino fell, everything else followed. His agency instantly dropped him, the industry turned on him overnight, and suddenly Blake and Colleen were free to do whatever they wanted to with the project. Y'all, this was a setup, a straight up business hit job disguised as a #MeToo moment. Say what you may, but Colleen isn't as innocent as she would want us to believe. One last proof, loves, there is a whole thread from Reddit where a supposed It Ends With Us crew member spilled the details. This wasn't some after the fact speculation. The information dropped 4 months before the public even knew there were any so-called issues on set, meaning this was planned carefully. Let's go through this Reddit prediction and you'll be shocked how everything literally checks out. The long and the short of it is that Blake Lively allegedly felt uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni, with one specific claim being that he told her she looked sexy in her outfit on set. Meanwhile, Justin wasn't happy with the original editor's cut of It Ends With Us, so he hired his own team to rework it. Blake, wanting her own creative control, asked Sony to let her do the same, but they refused. In response, she allegedly threatened to take a story to the New York Times accusing Justin of sexual harassment unless she got her way. Panicked, Sony caved, banning Justin from the studio and giving Blake full control over the film. Blake brought in Taylor Swift's music video editors while working on another project in Italy, but the film quickly became a mess. Realizing the disaster, she had to hire a professional editor to fix it. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift discovered the film's composer was someone she had a bad history with and gave Sony an ultimatum. Either he goes or she does. Wanting to keep Taylor on the soundtrack, Sony fired the composer, further fueling the chaos surrounding the film. You guys, it literally panned out as planned. These people were going to take out Baldoni and assassinate his character, all for nothing but greed. Had they succeeded to get Justin out of the picture, Colleen would be sitting pretty with her production company, Heartbones Entertainment, locked and loaded, while Blake positioned herself to secure the project just the way she wanted it. The whole thing screams manipulation, greed, and calculated moves disguised as moral outrage. And let's talk about timing. Blake Lively filed her lawsuit and Colleen Hoover hurriedly declared her stand. Then Justin Baldoni fires back and there's overwhelming evidence and she goes silent. But then the moment Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, starts making noise about subpoenas and digital evidence, basically saying even their DMs would be admissible in court, boom! January 22nd, her Instagram's gone. Wiped. Like she knew something was coming and needed to clean up before anybody could start digging. What was she trying to hide? This ain't just about a movie anymore. This is about power and greed. Colleen Hoover wanted more. more control, more money, more say in how her books were adapted. And when she saw an opportunity to take it, she took it. The breadcrumbs are all there, and no amount of Instagram deletions or digital scrubbing is going to erase the fact that this whole thing looks like one big messy takedown of Justin Baldoni. Y'all, the drama just keeps getting messier. As if the whole scandal with Justin, Blake, and Colleen wasn't enough, now we're hearing Colleen Hoover is supposedly retiring. On the flip side, there's a twist to this. Not everyone is canceling Colleen right now. Some are saying that this whole situation might not even be entirely her fault. Word on the street is that Blake manipulated her, possibly feeding her stories about how Justin made her uncomfortable on set. Imagine Blake pulling Colleen to the side like, girl, I don't know what to do. Justin is making me so uncomfortable, but if I say something, it might ruin the whole movie, and I know how important this is to you. Like, if that's what went down, Colleen could have easily been played into thinking she was doing the right thing. If this narrative is anything to go by, the rest of the cast might have fallen for Blake's deceptive ways as well. If Blake was whispering in their ears too, telling Brandon Sklenler, who plays Atlas, that Justin was shady, hyping him up with potential new roles, basically getting everyone to turn against Justin, then this was an orchestrated takedown. Straight up Hollywood Game of Thrones level betrayal. But now, after all of the heat and backlash, Colleen Hoover is allegedly tapping out. She's stepping back from the public eye, and sources are saying she's low-key regretting getting involved. Is it really retirement or running away before more receipts come out? You tell me. At this point, Blake's looking like the true mastermind behind all of this. The lies, the manipulation, the convenient timing of the allegations, it's all starting to crumble. And if Colleen really is retiring, then this whole thing might have backfired in a way that none of them saw coming. At the end of the day, Justin Baldoni came in with good intentions, but Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively had other plans. From Colleen flipping sides with 0 receipts to the shady backdoor moves to snatch Justin's rights, this whole situation is super sus. What do y'all think? Was Colleen just another pawn in Blake's game, or was she playing Justin the whole time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for deep dives and the latest updates on this insanely twisted tale of the Ryan Reynolds B-list actress and her 2 dragons. See y'all in the next one.